Welcome to the
أهلا
6th
بكم في
episode of the
الحلقة
series The
السادسة
Box of Islam.
من سلسلة حلقات صندوق الإسلام.
In the previous
طلعنا من
episode we
الصندوق
brought out of the box some
الحلقة اللي
details about the
فاتت
turning
بعض
points in
التفاصيل
Muhammad's life
عن
which
نقاط
impacted the style of
التحول
his
في
call and the
حياة
style of his
محمد اللي
message.
أثرت في أسلوب دعوته وأسلوب رسالته.
We paused at the turning
وتوقفنا
point of
عند
Khadija's death when he
موت
went to
خديجة
extremism intellectually,
وتطرفه
religiously and mentally.
الفكري والديني والعقلي.
Muhammad before the death of Khadija is a completely different personality compared to Muhammad after Khadija's death. The two have nothing in common.
ولا تربطهم أي علاقة ببعضهم.
Muhammad before Khadija was calling to his call using tolerance, wisdom and the good preach. He had patience and talked only about monotheism. There were no wars, no fighting and no mugging. With the death of Khadija, Muhammad lost the bridle that kept him stable and also lost the most supportive person he had. From this point on he started his extreme trend. With Khadija's death the idea of a peaceful call to his religion has terminated. After the story of Isra and Miraj that he went to heaven, met God personally and led all the prophets in a prayer, his megalomania started to hit hard on him. Many are reading the Islamic history as if he was peaceful in Mecca, and when moved to Medina the wars started when Quraysh attacked him in an attempt to end his message.
وبعدين حصلت الحروب من المدينة لما بتوع مكة حبوا ان هم يهاجموه ويقضوا على رسالته.
This is completely untrue because his intentions for wars were shown as soon as he got to Medina when he tried to coordinate with the Arab tribes.
ان هو يحاول ان هو يعني يعمل علاقات مع القبائل.
He sent Abu Bakr to go and negotiate the tribes living at the edge of Arabian Peninsula. For example, Muhammad went to the tribe of Shayban asking them support to launch war against his tribe of Quraysh. But Shayban refused and told him, "We do not help somebody against his family. Nobody is doing this except the Salik."
ما بنساعدش واحد على أهله. لا يفعل هذا إلا الصعاليك.
When the word Salik was mentioned he knew that nobody of the Arab tribes would help him against Quraysh.
عرف هو مين محدش هيساعده من القبائل العربية ضد قريش.
Quraysh are the guards of Kaaba.
حارسين الحرم.
There is no reason for any Arab tribe to fight them because of Muhammad. What for? But when somebody negotiate the Salik he tells them, "We would share together and you will get benefits out of this war."
وهتستفادوا ماديا وأنا هستفاد.
So those are the ones who have no principles. Those are the ones who have no connection to their tribes. But the opposite is true. They are ready to attack their own tribes and they did it. Ready to enslave women, sell them and do everything. So it didn't work for Muhammad to negotiate decent Arab tribes. So who helped him? The Salik. In addition to the Aus and Hazraj of Medina, the Aus and Hazraj had a big story. Similar to the tribe of Quraysh, they were immigrants from Yemen. Many people don't know that Quraysh is not originally from Mecca but from Yemen. If you read the book Al-Mafasil fi Tariq al-Arab by Jawad Ali, you would know that Quraysh is from Yemen originally. The same can be said about the Aus and Hazraj. After the collapse of the Dam of Mareb they migrated to Yathrib from Yemen. Hence there is sort of common lineage between the Aus and Hazraj with Quraysh. The Hazraj was supposed to be the tribe that Hashim, the grandfather of Muhammad, had married from. It is also the tribe that Abdul Muttalib, Muhammad's direct grandfather, has born in. There was a military coalition between Hashim's tribe and the Hazraj tribe, and between Abdul Muttalib and the Hazraj. Abdul Muttalib used the support of Hazraj when he had disagreements with his cousins. So they had a long story. The Aus and Hazraj tribes wanted to get rid of the Jews of Medina who lived in castles there. So this was the negotiation that agreed upon at the end. When Muhammad established the first and second homage of Aqaba, the second homage of Aqaba was homage on blood. So who had the intention to shed this blood? And isn't the one who establishes a military coalition, establishes it for the intention of war? This is exactly what happened after. When he went to Medina, the age of wars has started. In the last 8 years in Muhammad's life, he launched between 70 to 90 wars, varied between invasions, marches and wars. The number is only for the last 8 years only. What does that mean? It means that Muhammad launched a war every month. Yes, a new war every month. And they tell you that he established the Islamic State and wrote a constitution for Medina and did other things and became the religion of mercy. Can be there a religion of peace that launches a war every month, wherefrom he will provide the time to talk about the good ethics and the other issues of life. Muhammad's life ended filled with wars. This seems to be the last grotto he had to hide in. This is to prove that he has a value, to prove that all those who refused him were wrong. He was looking for the acceptance of Quraysh. This was the most important thing for him. In previous episode we mentioned the narration of Garanik, when he praised their gods in order for them to accept him. This was his crisis as a person refused from his tribe of Quraysh and wishes that they accept him. He tried using his preaching but it didn't work. He tried to praise their idols and it didn't work. Eventually, there was nothing but war and military success for him to get this domination. That is why when he came back to Mecca as conqueror with 10,000 soldiers, it was true that he didn't take massive revenge of them. But also he didn't tell them you go as free people, because this narration is weak and has no basis. True that he didn't slaughter them, but he destroyed their idols and imposed his control on them. I presented a lecture in Cairo 2 years ago about the Islamic fascism, and I mentioned that the religious fascism in Islam started from the day of conquering Mecca. Because of this lecture the world turned upside down at that time and I got death threats. The Salaf channels and Muslim Brotherhood started attacking me in the media addition to Abo Ishaq al-Huwain. My point was that the return of Muhammad to Mecca marked the beginning of the Islamic fascism. Why is that? Because Mecca had religious and cultural plural system that anybody can worship anything he wants. The Jews, the Christians and the worshippers of whatsoever gods were free. It had pluralism and the Kaaba contained everything. Kaaba had pictures of Jesus and Christian icons. Whoever Arab had a god, he can put it there. They were living in this type of tolerance. So Muhammad came to destroy and ban all these. But at the same time he didn't punish Quraysh. That he slaughtered the poor slave woman of Ebn Cattle that was telling poetry in him. He slaughtered Ebn Cattle himself. But he pardoned Hind, the wife of Abo Sufyan. Why? Because he needed the tribe of Umayyah. Because his project still unfinished. Because he wants to occupy the whole Arabian Peninsula and beyond. Here comes the subject of Muhammad's pragmatism. He was a person who makes benefit estimation. The poor slave woman ordered to be killed, but the one who makes disaster do not get punished. When the Makhzumi woman stole things he cuts her hands. She is just a poor lady. But when Khalid ibn al-Walid raided a completely Muslim tribe, killed all of them and took all their possessions. When the news about that reached Muhammad, he to judge him as killer and cut off his hands and legs from the rest of his body, or send him to exile. But Muhammad needs Khalid as a military leader. So all he could do was that he raised his hands and said, "My God, I free myself from what Khalid did 3 times." Is this someone who established the pillars of justice and equality among humans? Is this the type of judgment that we should base our judgments on and live according to? Of course not. He is a man who acted as opportunist sometimes. He had opportunity to punish a poor woman from the tribe of Makhzum who stole few jewelry and cut her hand. But he forgives Khalid ibn al-Walid, saying, "I separate myself from what he did." What about the people who've been killed? What about the blood money of the killed people? Nothing. Khalid killed them intentionally because he had previous issues with them since before Islam. No. Hence what was started as a call for monotheism and divine message has completely changed into business. Business of wars. Khalid ibn al-Walid brings me loots and I cannot give up on him or punish him because I will lose the loots he brings me. But for the Makhzumi woman it's all right for her to die and her hands cut. The woman who spoke poetry in the Prophet gets killed, no problem. But Muhammad killed nobody from Bani Hashim of those who cursed him. Because he was thinking that he would need them in the future. That's why when he conquered Mecca he said whoever entered the house of Abu Sufyan is safe. Although he was just made Abu Sufyan's wife blood legal to be shed. In spite of that he said whoever entered the house of Abu Sufyan is safe. He wanted Banu Umayyah, and afterward Banu Umayyah took over the leadership of Islam and they are the ones who will change the history of Islam completely. Muhammad spoke almost about everything related to life and afterlife. He left no subject without giving his believers advices and directions for it. He controlled every big or small issue of their life by his narrations. For example, when you eat you must say something by the name of Allah the Merciful the Most Merciful. You do something before you eat and something else after you eat. While you wash for prayer what should you do? While you wash for prayer be careful, if there is a spot you didn't wash properly it will be burned on the day of resurrection. You must wash your hands 3 times in a place where there is no water. Water is little in the desert. Something like OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, but he used it to control the people. After he'd been rejected and isolated, called as Abu Talib's boy, called as madman and hypocrite, the megalomania made him control every life detail of the believers. In one narration exists in Sahih Muslim, the book of Tahara, in the section of cleaning the body with sand we read about an infidel telling a believer of Muhammad that your prophet taught you everything including pooping. The man answered him happily yes, telling him that he taught us how to purify the ass with stone and not to use a bone.
فالراجل رد عليه قال له أجل، يعني فرحان، لقد علمنا كيف نستنجي فلا نستنجي بالعظم ولا نستنجي مش عارف
Imagine these people who didn't know until that time how to deal with poop.
ما كانتش عارفة لحد دلوقتي إزاي إن هي تتعامل مع المؤاخذة يعني الخراء.
And they need a prophet to explain to them how to do poop, and those the ones who taught humanity the light and guidance, and enlightened humanity with a new unmatched civilization. Everything, eating, drinking, sleeping, and inheritance. He left no small or big issue that he didn't talk about. So what are the things that he didn't talk about until his death? By the way, this is a big mystery. A big mystery is that he didn't tell Muslims who will rule after him and how he would rule. What are the basis of ruling in Islam? There is none. This is another sign of megalomania, that Muhammad didn't think about the time after his death. There is a narration saying I've been sent together with the hour of resurrection. That is me and the resurrection are one by the other like this. God was waiting for me to end the movie. Muhammad never touched his mind that he would die and life will go on. That's why he didn't tell who will rule after him. This is a big disaster which the Islamic world is paying for until our very day. The separation of Shiite and Sunni was a direct consequence of that. Muhammad didn't say who will rule and on which basis he will rule. He had put no basis for ruling. The Quran is telling the man how to act with his woman at the time of her period, but he don't tell who will rule the Muslims and on which basis he should rule after the Prophet's death. There is nothing. He left it floating. They would tell you after that for a wisdom nobody knows about except God. Anything in Islam like this they would tell you it is wisdom nobody knows about except God. Is there such a thing that someone say I'm the last prophet? No other prophet after me. No other messages are coming anymore.
قاله لي أنا.
The last words before God go silent forever were told to me.
الحاجة اللي هتنظم
Then
حياة
he comes to the
المسلمين
most
بعد كده اللي هي
important
أهم
question
سؤال.
which will organize the life of Muslims afterward and
دستور
forget about
الحكم
it.
من يحكم
The
وعلى
ruling
أي أساس
constitution
يحكم.
of the Muslims, who will rule and on what basis he
ساب لهم
rules.
كده ومن لم يحكم بما أنزل الله
He
فأولئك هم
just left
الكافرون.
Muslims with Quran
طب يحكم
5:44
بما
and
أنزل الله
whoever
اللي هو إيه
does not
بالظبط؟
judge by what
على
Allah
أي
has
أساس؟
revealed, those are the infidels.
فده
So what
سبب
exactly the thing they should
الكارثة
judge by it?
الكبيرة.
On what
فلذلك
basis?
أنا من رأيي إن
Not
أي
existed.
حد يحب
This
يحكي
caused the big
قصة حياة
disaster.
محمد
My
المفروض
opinion for
يحكيها
anybody
من
who would
يوم
like to
ما
tell the
مات.
life story of Muhammad,
لأن
he should
يوم ما
start
ماته
from the day of his
هو
death.
اللي أثر
Because
في
the day of
التاريخ
Muhammad's
الإسلامي
death affected the
أكتر من
Islamic
أي
history more
يوم
than
تاني.
any other day in
ليه؟
Islam. Why
لأن
is that?
سؤال من
Because the
يحكم
question about
هو
who should rule caused the
اللي خلى
separation of Muslims until our day.
الانشقاق اللي حصل بين المسلمين إلى الأبد لحد
The
النهاردة
problems
والمشاكل
we
اللي
are
احنا
observing
شايفينها
today in
النهاردة
Syria,
في سوريا
Iraq,
وفي العراق
Lebanon,
وفي
Yemen,
لبنان
between
وفي
Saudi
اليمن
Arabia and Iran, and the
وبين
Arab
السعودية
Gulf
وإيران
Wars, all that based on who
وحروب
is the
الخليج.
one should
كل
rule
ده
after the Prophet's
كان
death.
أساسه إن بعد ما مات النبي مين اللي أحق بالخلافة؟
Is it Ali
علي
or
ولا
Abu
أبو
Bakr?
بكر؟ ده السؤال
This was the
اللي طرح
question
في
that proposed
السقيفة
under the
بعد
shed after the Prophet's death.
موت النبي.
The story of the Prophet's
قصة
death
موت
has been
النبي
widely avoided by Muslim clerics, because it has many big question
بيتجنبوها كتير
marks.
الشيوخ عشان فيها علامات استفهام غريبة جدا.
The Prophet was wishing that he would die as
النبي كان
martyr.
بيتمنى إن هو يموت شهيد.
He has a narration that he wishes to die in battle as martyr and raised again and die in battle again and raised again. This was his dream.
يعني ده كان حلم.
But the way he died was by fever on bed and he told the people I've been poisoned.
وعلى الفراش وبقول أنا اتسميت.
So who has poisoned
مين
you?
اللي سممك؟
He say the Jewish woman poisoned me. All right, Uncle Haji, you supposed to have died on the year 11 after Hijrah. Were there any Jews in Medina at this time in the first place?
هل كان في يهود في المدينة أصلاً في الوقت دون؟
The last Jews existed in Medina were Banu Quraidha when you evicted them 4 or 5 years ago in the year 627 AD. That was 5 years ago. And the Battle of Khaybar happened 4 years before that. But Muhammad says that the Jewish woman of Khaybar gave me poisoned sheep to eat. But this story is 4 years ago. Can someone die because of a poison he ate 4 years ago? No such thing. This story also present a question marks that the Shiite and Sunni disagreed on it. Abdullah bin Masud swears 3 times that the Prophet of Allah has been killed. 3 times he swears. Well then who has killed him? It can't be the Jewish woman 4 years ago.
طيب مين اللي قتله؟ مش ممكن تكون المرأة اليهودية اللي الكلام ده كان من 4 سنين.
The Shiite say that Aisha is the one who poisoned him with the knowledge of Abu Bakr, Omar, and Hafsa because they wanted to get rid of him for some reason.
أبو بكر وعمر وحفصة لأن هم كانوا عايزين يتخلصوا منه لسبب ما.
What is the reason that makes somebody wants to get rid of Muhammad?
حد عايز يتخلص منه.
Before his death, Muhammad prepared an army to fight the Romans and appointed Osama ibn Zayd ibn Haritha as the army leader. At this time Osama ibn Zayd was 18 years old. This made Omar ibn al-Khattab get mad when he heard that the Prophet at the end of his life he assigned the leadership of the Islamic army to Osama ibn Zayd of the 18 years old. What about Omar and Abu Bakr? What about the people who are waiting to get the business that grow huge? The land taxes, the life ransom of non-believers, and the obligatory tax of Muslims. Oh my God, the subject is huge and all this goes to Osama ibn Zayd. But Osama ibn Zayd is the friend of Ali ibn Abu Talib. So if Muhammad is to appoint a successor for him he wouldn't put someone related to Abu Bakr and Omar. This would make Ali the one who will take over the caliphate. Abu Bakr refuses this completely and he always fought with Ali and they had many disagreements. Just after the Prophet appointed Osama ibn Zayd as the leader, suddenly he got a fever. It is the capability of Allah then.
فجأة أصيب بالحمى. قدرة ربنا بقى.
He fall in bed turning right and left with his head about to explode. He started saying strange things as signs of sudden sickness. Such a pain he never experienced.
يقول كلام غريب وعلامات مرض مفاجئ. ألم بيقول عمره ما حس بيه قبل كده.
It is not reasonable for the sheep he eat 4 years ago to move suddenly after all this time. Imagine how many women he married in these 4 years and how many wars he launched and nothing happened to him. Why now suddenly? Neither I nor anybody of our time was there 1400 years ago, but the people who told these stories opened the door for Muslims to kill each other. So how did the Prophet die? The death of the Prophet, the talk fighting under the shed and forcing Ali to give up the caliphate to Abu Bakr. Add to this the big disagreement between the Mecca migrants and Medina residents about who should rule.
الخلاف الكبير بين المهاجرين والأنصار من يحكم.
The residents of Medina were the ones who helped the migrants of Mecca. They gave them homes, helped them and fought with them. And at the end they got nothing out of the big feast, according to the saying. All this constituted the seed for Islam to be formed in the shape that reached us today. Who killed Muhammad? How did he die? The one who ruled Muslims. On which basis did he rule? Muhammad biography and the narrations all have been formed within this atmosphere of conflicts, civil wars and conspiracies. Even the collection of the Quran itself happened at this period of time. It is impossible for the literature that reached us from this environment to describe real facts. It rather describes political conflict and confrontations. And this is what we will talk about in the coming episodes. Wait for us in the coming episodes. Watch us on YouTube at Hamid.tv, and on the Facebook, The Box of Islam. I wish to see you in good shape.